If you keep tearing yourself up like this, you are gonna end up with permanent damage, I told her. Seriously, you should stop messing around. Her face twitched with a flicker of guilt, but it was gone in a second. Are not you supposed to be some famous OBGYN? This kind of injury should be easy for you, right? I almost laughed. My face stayed neutral, but inside, I was enjoying every second of this. Alright, I said with a sigh, I will fix it this time. But do not come crying to me if you mess yourself up again. She nodded, completely unfazed, and told me to get on with it. Once the anesthesia kicked in, she was out cold. The surgery was not something I could handle alone, so a few nurses assisted me. Aunt Hannah had slipped them all a generous hush fee and whispered extra instructions: keep an eye on her. She was terrified I would take revenge on the operating table. What she did not realize was that Allison did not need me to ruin her. Her own body was doing that just fine. The surgery went smoothly. I cleaned up the internal wounds and disinfected everything thoroughly. When the anesthesia wore off, Allison screamed so loud the walls could have cracked. She was not ready for the pain. Last time, I warned her about the after effects and she backed out. But this time, she had insisted on going through with it and clearly had no idea what was coming. Her forehead was soaked in sweat, her lips trembling with agony. And when she found out she had to wear a mold to keep things in place, she completely lost it. Mom, it hurts so much. I should not have done this. She wailed like a banshee for days, popping painkillers like candy, curled up in bed and sobbing into her pillow. But Aunt Hannah stayed calm and gentle, whispering promises of wealth and luxury. All this pain will be worth it. Just get that ring on your finger. Lock him down. I played along, offering her hope wrapped in venom. Honestly, Allison, you are lucky. The surgery went so well you will be able to conceive naturally. Just imagine once you give Soren a baby, you will have him wrapped around your finger. That got their attention. Aunt Hannah practically snatched the ultrasound report from my hands and scanned it with wide, gleaming eyes. Aunt Hannah practically jumped with joy. Amazing. No need for surrogacy after all. You carry his child yourself and he will worship you. Drunk on dreams of power and luxury, Allison stopped whining. I used the moment to ask about moving out and changing my family status. You can move later, Aunt Hannah said with a smile. After the wedding, we do not want people thinking we kick you out. Yeah, friend, Allison chimed in, for once speaking to me kindly. It will look better if you bring it up in front of Soren. He will not question it then. The irony nearly choked me, but I just smiled and nodded. Perfect. I wanted a front row seat to the biggest disaster of her life. Over the next 2 months, Allison's wounds healed and the scars faded. But something else began to go wrong. New symptoms started showing up. Rashes, discomfort, unusual discharges. At first, she brushed it off. The night before the wedding, she knocked on my door, shaking like a leaf. Time was short. I helped her clean up and patch herself together. The ceremony was held at a picturesque garden resort outside the city. Aunt Hannah went all out, invited every friend, every distant relative, anyone who might witness her triumph. Allison secretly bribed her makeup artist with triple the usual rate. The woman worked her magic, turning Allison into something out of a dream. When she walked out in her wedding gown, gasps filled the venue. She looked radiant, angelic, almost. Even Soren could not take his eyes off her. He pulled her into an emotional embrace and murmured his vows like they were sacred promises. I, of course, was the bridesmaid. And per Allison's orders, the makeup artist messed with my shade. I looked complete ugly duckling standing next to her. Soren glanced at me, his eyes flickering with something that looked like relief. It was as if it resolved his decision that he had chosen the right one. Being the gentleman he is, he tried to keep it polite, dancing around the topic like it might offend me. Fran, is everything alright? You look different. Before I could respond, Allison jumped in, eager to take a shot at me. Soren, Fran is not like me. She went to some island recently, got all tan. Poor girl, her skin just cannot handle the sun. Let us not remind her of it. As she spoke, she did a little dramatic shake of her shoulders, the light practically bouncing off her artificially glowing skin. I let out a silent scoff. Even now, on her wedding day, she could not resist taking a jab at me. Low-tier competition between women, so predictable, so pathetic. Well, let us see if she is still smiling by the end of tonight. I raised a glass for a toast with her, holding a wine I had chosen specifically. It would not affect a normal person, but for someone like Allison, with her special condition, it was a recipe for disaster. Sure enough, barely a moment after she took the drink, a thin sheen of sweat appeared on her forehead. Her hands began to tremble, clutching her bouquet like she was afraid it might slip away. Soren noticed immediately, his concern evident as he leaned in. Is everything okay? You do not look well, he asked, his voice soft but full of care. Allison quickly tossed her bouquet off the stage, muttering that she was not feeling well, before running off in a hurry. A few moments later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from her. She ordered me to bring her allergy meds and quick. I ended up stuck in the room with her and the makeup artist, trying to salvage her look for the last half an hour. Meanwhile, Aunt Hannah, who had been watching the whole scene unfold, shot me a suspicious look. Did you out something in that wine? I feigned ignorance to her accusation. I'm sure it is just an allergic reaction. Soren drank the same wine and he is fine. He can vouch for me. But if you are still not convinced, I will drink the rest of it. Then, I grabbed the remaining wine and took a big gulp. Unhappy with that, that, Aunt Hannah had someone check Allison's wine glass. When nothing out of the ordinary was found, she turned back to me, glaring with suspicion. Do not try any tricks, she warned, her voice low but sharp. Soren is married now, he will not even look at you. Know your place. I lowered my head and gave a respectful nod, though inside, I was barely containing my excitement. What would Soren do when he found out Allison's secret tonight? I could not help but smile at the thought. After taking her allergy meds and with the makeup artist's careful touch, Allison returned to the reception. Soren took her around to meet the guests, smiling for the cameras and exchanging pleasantries. After accepting all the compliments, Soren finally escorted her to their bridal suite. That night, all the guests were settled in the resort hotel, enjoying drinks and chatting. The atmosphere was light and relaxed. Meanwhile, Aunt Hannah was in the garden, puffing herself up in front of her relatives, bragging about how well she had raised her daughter. And of course, she made sure to take a jab at me. My Allison has never had a boyfriend, unlike some girls who have had so many, they have lost count. Yeah, girls these days do not seem to have the same values as Allison. She is so beautiful, talented and pure. Of course, the reason Soren Armitage is interested in her is because she is still a virgin. You all know how precious a woman's chastity is. Soren must think he hit the jackpot. I had to bite my lip to stop myself from laughing. The men I had been with had all been swept away by Allison's purity. It was not hard to see why Aunt Hannah never noticed what her daughter was up to behind closed doors. But I was not the only one who saw through her facade. The other guests exchanged glances, some of them holding back knowing smirks. They remembered when Aunt Hannah had made a fool of herself being a homewrecker. And honestly, who still talks about women like that in this day and age? It was outdated, embarrassing. But no one dared to say anything, so they just smiled and nodded, continuing to shower her with compliments. Aunt Hannah had drunk a little too much and she was floating on cloud nine, basking in her self-satisfaction. At that moment, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Allison. Allison, friend, something happened. I forgot to take the mole out when Soren and there was an accident. Allison, get over here and help me fix it. Do not tell anyone. I could not hold back a small grin as I made an excuse to slip away from the crowd, heading straight to their honeymoon suite.